Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more. Call us right now for more help at 866-945-8070. Going to start the recording, going live on Facebook. I'm going to make a quick note here. All right. Okay, too many screens. Share a group.
I don't know what to do with that either.
Almost there. Of course, Evernote decided to install an update yesterday, so now that's screwing everything up. Evernote is screwing everything up.
I guess I should allow it to update then.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Well, I hate that Windows, when an app updates, it takes it out of, it unpins it from your start menu, and all of a sudden you're looking for something that you've gotten so accustomed to being in a certain place,
Right.
And now it's gone. And if you're OCD like me, that's like torture. That's like digital torture. All right, hold on. We're going live. It's happening. Setting up your webinar, redirecting to Facebook. And
Adam, check your chat, please.
Okay, I'm looking. Hold on one second.
Morning, everybody.
good morning, everybody. Hold on, it's still kind of grinding. So it's doing that thing where it seems to have completed the process of going live, but it doesn't actually take me to the live video. So it's not clear if we're live or not. We might be live. So just in case we're live, say hello to the live audience.
Hey.
Wait, it does on my
Hello,
page
live
show
audience.
that I have a live video.
Not showing for me yet.
So here we are. It is live. It looks like we're about 45 seconds in. I want to share it to my Facebook group. God, this is so clunky. There just has to be a better way.
Well, just wait. It'll change.
Yeah, it'll change next week, and it'll probably be worse. Okay, so posting into the Facebook group. And good morning. We're live. Happy Friday. It's August 17th, 2018. Today we're going to talk about SEO tips and tricks. And helping us talk about that is going to be my good friend, Matthew Fulton, who is here with us. He's been here with us the last couple of weeks. First, a little housekeeping. Actually, I have no housekeeping. There's absolutely nothing going on. I have nothing to share with you. I have nothing to say. As if that would ever be true.
The first time in history.
Yeah, imagine. So yeah, we got the whole Facebook thing working now. So we are live on Facebook. It looks like we've got 5 viewers. And if you go to the Nerd Enterprises Inc. page, I need to spend more time on this stuff, obviously, but there are little sort of tabs on the left, I guess, for lack of a better word, and you'll see videos, and you'll see the little live symbol on the page of the videos if you want to go find it there. What's annoying about this, though, is normally there would be a timestamp that you can click on to take you into just a feed for the video, and that's not here. So I guess if you hit comment, also you can hit the full screen option at the bottom right of the video feed, of the video itself, and that will take you into, it'll fill up your whole screen with the video and the comment feed. So for those of you watching at home, as you go through this with us today, if you have questions, comments, feedback, post it there. Hi, Gina. Gina posted her comment. So ask your questions there. I strongly urge you, speaking of Evernote, to, and for those who missed it, Evernote had an update that they rolled out, and I installed it, and it took it out of my start menu, and it really messed with my OCD. So I think we've got that sorted out. But the reason I bring that up again is I strongly urge you to be prepared to take notes, because it's going to be honestly a bit like drinking from the fire hose. There's a lot to cover SEO. There's a reason that there are people who just do nothing but SEO for a living, and you can hire them and they can do it for you. But a lot of us are do-it-yourselfers, for one thing. And also, we want to learn at least enough to understand what's going on with it. And many of us don't have the budget to hire an SEO consultant. So we want to try and do as much as we can on our own. And then as we grow and we can set aside the budget for it, then we can hire somebody to do it. So with that in mind, whip out your Evernote, whip out your pens and papers, whatever it is, wherever it is that you like to keep notes, and be prepared to take notes, because honestly, you're not going to be able to absorb all of this in one sitting. So I urge you to take notes. Of course, this live Facebook feed will be available pretty much within a minute or two after we finish, just as it is now. And then by tomorrow at some point, the latest Sunday, sometimes I get lazy on Saturdays, I will have the official one posted on our website, which, by the way, in case you're wondering, I'm going to show you something, because I've gotten comments recently that honestly surprised me a little, but from people who have been veterans of our weekly Zoom who don't seem to know how to go register for participation in one of these Zooms. So I'm going to post this, we'll show you here that all you ever need to do is come onto the website, under podcasts, go to Zoom In with Seth David, and there is always, without exception, a post right at the top here that says sign up for upcoming Zoom In with Seth David and Friends episodes, right? So right here, you just click in, it'll show you all the upcoming episodes. Couldn't be easier. Right, and then once you're signed up, you'll get notifications a week before, a day before, and an hour before. So this is today's, and this is next Friday, video content, tips, tricks, and strategies. So that one is going to be led by me again. And outside of that, sorry?
Interrupt for just a second.
Sure.
I think I know what you're talking about, people not being able to get on. There are times that I have tried to get on through your website here where I just get caught in a loop and I just can't seem to be able to get on. So I think that may be happening to other people too. It's a case of clear your cookies again.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's not something I have any control over, of course. But
no, I'm not saying that you do or that it's your fault, just that could be happening.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, if you have problems, and I think that happens from mobile devices typically, correct? I don't know.
I can't answer. I know that it's happened on my computer.
Okay. But yeah, normally you should just click right on this link. It should take you right to the Zoom registration page. I keep the form short and sweet so as not to hold you hostage. And at this point, since it's in progress, notice it actually says join webinar in progress. So if you're on the live Facebook feed and you want to join our live panel, just come over here, click the link, fill it out, and click join webinar in progress, right? And so it should be easy. And obviously, if you ever have trouble while you're trying to do it, preferably not while the show is ongoing, reach out to me for help. It's hard for me to stop talking and help somebody get online when I'm in the middle of talking. I haven't mastered that art yet. So there's that. The other thing that became apparent to me this week that may not be clear to people, I was talking with somebody who had been a member of 97 and Up and has left. And so real quick, if you want to do deep dives on any of the stuff we cover any Friday, if you want to get involved in a program that will let you get in deep, we do 2 weekly calls where you can come in. And somebody asked me yesterday, did I have or had I done anything covering, what was the subject he was asking about? I think it had to do with how I use Smartsheet, internally to run, my consulting engagements. And then there was something else he asked about, and I said, that would be the perfect thing for a 97 and up call. When you sign up for 97 and up, everything is, or even if you're signed up for a $25 monthly subscription, all the courses are here in subscription-based training. So you come here. Now this course, and for that matter, anytime you see 97 and up anywhere on or around the title, that means that's exclusive to 97 and up. But this is the main 97 and up course right here, and this is accessible, even if you're not signed up. So, of course, you can learn about the course, and there's a whole outline here that walks you through everything we cover. The course is designed to help you start or restart your business from the ground up. Everything from creating a business plan and setting goals, both financial and time management goals, all the way through to some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today, although today we're going to go much deeper. But in the course, I show you how to use Yoast SEO from start to finish. I optimize a post entirely to show you how to do it, and everything in between, developing content, using WordPress. Yes, you should hire somebody to design your site for you, but you should know enough to be able to go in there and make your own updates so you can write your own blogs and things like that. So all that's here in subscription-based training. And so the person I spoke with yesterday said that she hadn't been aware that there was a whole course dedicated for 97 and up. There is. It's right here. It's called Accounting Business Academy, my 97 and up project. And then also we've just added this one, which is really an offshoot from the episodes that we've done, where we started studying this book called How to Write Copy That Sells. So those recordings are specifically being listed here as their own course because it covers this one topic and goes deep on it in terms of, you know, how to improve your copywriting, which goes back to like what Adam is now doing, you know, building and developing your website, and you want to learn how to write copy that sells. That's the point. So anyway, that's all here. And of course, with 97 and up, we have the 2 weekly calls. I have the Slack workspace. So I'm very accessible to anyone who's in the program. So if you have questions, if you're not sure what resources are there, just reach out to me and ask the questions. Any questions? No? Excellent. Perfect. For those of us who are in the live panel, Adam has been kind enough to post a video in the chat. I guess that has to do with SEO case studies. You may not want to click on it while this is ongoing because that's going to sort of interfere with this, being that it's a video. But just bookmark it and save it for later. And with that, I want to bring Matt on because I know Matt has a lot to go over, and I want to give him as much time as I possibly can. With that, I'm going to shut up and give you Matthew Fulton from Parkway Business Solutions.
Thank you, Seth. Really, really appreciate it. You nailed it earlier that SEO is a very, very large topic, and it definitely can be kind of like drinking from a fire hose. My goal today is to try to touch on some of the more important beginning parts of SEO, highlight some of the important factors of it, and make sure that you guys have my contact information and to go even deeper as you would like, because there's tons that could be learned. Real quickly, just to make sure my screen is being shared at this time, everybody can see the Nerd Enterprises.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I always like to start by sharing with Parkway, we have never used pay-per-click throughout the entire process of building our website. Now, that doesn't mean there's plenty of times that it's great to use pay-per-click versus search engine optimization. But there's a big difference that I like to say between the two. Pay-per-click is where you're paying for somebody every time they click on that ad button. And I personally feel that's kind of like renting your website versus search engine optimization is more like owning your website because of the content that you're going to create. The most important part when it comes to either of these, and for what we're talking about, is to really be able to, we want to make sure that first you can be found online. So you can do as much search engine optimization as you want, but if you don't have the ability to be found online, if you're not listed first, if you don't have your address, your phone number, all of those things consistent across everything, it's not going to do you much good. With what I mean by that is what they call your name, address, phone number, and website. There are certain services that are out on the market that can help you actually go through, pull a listing of all of the different business listings on the internet and what it looks like for your company. If there's so Yelp versus Google versus actually even Facebook and Yellow Pages, so forth. You need to start by making sure that that listing is exactly the same for every single service provider online, so it doesn't confuse Google, if you will. And on my website, I will provide a link to where there's a tool that you can kind of use to do that part of it. So to get started here, with SEO, 3.5 billion searches are done every single day, which seems a huge amount. 86% of those are all done through Google. So my personal belief is, depending on where you're at within your website, everything else, if you don't have a website or you do, one of the most important things you can do is get listed on Google My Business. Has anybody here used Google My Business? I know, Adam, you have, of course. It's a very, very valuable tool. I start here because it's the best way to feed the beast. Get on Google My Business because you're feeding the information into Google about, again, name, address, so forth, but it gives you the ability to actually start doing some stuff like keyword stuffing into your description to make sure that anybody that's looking for you will start to find you. One part of SEO and being found online is the difference between doing a search and like the top 3 pack versus like the organic listings below. is everybody familiar with kind of the differences and how that works?
Assume no.
No. Okay, got it. So when you pull up a business, if I was to come in and I do a search for bookkeeping company in Ventura, okay, you're going to have what they call your top 3-pack, which is this here, that will show up through your maps every time. This is directly connected to your Google My Business. So if you're focused on local business at the beginning, this is super important, and it translates to your website as well. That's why I want to start on it. Under the Google My Business, we'll provide a link later that's on my website for an article we did that's a deeper dive. But it gives you the ability, you can come in and you can create different posts. You can add extra information about your company. You can respond to different reviews. And you can also have where if people ask questions, you can respond to those questions as well. It's been expanding dramatically over the last 6 to 9 months. What's unique about this is, if you look at the side here, when you pull up our company, same thing with yours, if you do this, you get a lot more information than you would normally just see on the side here. So imagine somebody searches a bookkeeping company in Ventura, and if they pull up this under the maps, which one would you look at? If you've got somebody that's going to have all the details off to the side, or maybe somebody who doesn't have as much on the side, right? One of them provides more content. You're going to get more value out of it. It helps actually kind of, in a sense, funnel the right kind of clients to you is the primary goal. You can do posts on here that will show up for about 7 days.
Now, this is a post you wrote directly on there, or is that pulling from your blog somehow?
I put it directly onto here.
So you go into Google My Business, and you may also want to show people how to get into Google My Business for their business, because I bet a lot of people don't even know that much.
Thank you. So very, very simple. If you have a Google account, you're going to log into your normal Google setup. You'll go to your tic-tac-toe board, as I call it, and down below, you'll get to My Business. When you pull that up, if you have not created a Google My Business, you'll get the chance to go through the process. It will help you create a very basic website as well. That if you don't have a website at all, it can give you at least a beginning portion of a website. Inside of here, you'll notice along the side all the different options. When you go to post, it will give you the chance to actually create a post, as well as you'll see all of your previous ones you've done and the type of traction you received off of them or not. Since we started doing more with the Google My Business, that is what brought us to the top of the 3-pack through all of our searches. So previously, I had been trying to get into that top 3-pack for local for months. Stuffing the keywords into Google My Business, again, asking questions, answering questions with the keywords, everything else, has helped keep us on the top of the 3-pack for about 2 to 3 months, which is great. I will link back to an article inside of Google My Business, or about Google My Business, so we can go into a deeper dive into that if you have questions. But I do want to show a little bit more from that also. Any questions, though, real quickly on Google My Business? Yeah, Adam? Oh.
Just not a question, but a comment. But if you look at the insights, they actually did an improvement. You might know this already. But if you go to insights, they actually are doing your keyword research for you.
Yes.
So I put that in the chat, but if it'll cycle through. It should cycle through here. Okay. If you go scroll down here. So basically here, go up a little bit. It's basically, these are all the words that they're using the customers are using to search and find your website.
That's great. Yeah, you can even link your Google Analytics account, which will go into a little bit of a deeper dive, but this is a huge improvement. So what this is showing is these are different keywords or things that came off of the text inside of the website that we created, and that's what's popping up some of our searches onto it.
Matthew, this is Mariette. I have a question.
Yeah.
So let's say, okay, you've gone, and this is funny that I'm saying this, but I think this actually it probably relates to a lot of people. So, we open our websites, we start our business, we've been working for, let's say 10 years.
Yeah.
And we know our business is on Google because that's how people have been searching it. But we haven't gone into what you're looking at here. So, and this is why I love today's session, because kind of the story of my life. So we are probably on Google My Business, even though we probably don't think we're on there, right? Or was that something intentionally we had to do? Because I know you can definitely search for me on Google, because that's how most of my leads come. So like, what do you think about that situation? Because I know a lot of us are in that situation.
It's a great point. So just because you create a website, it doesn't mean that your information online is correct. So by going into Google My Business and setting it up, it's like any other type of web listing, like Yellow Pages Online, but it's the most important one because, again, 87% of the search results. We have our own website. We do not obviously rely on Google My Business to be the website, but we still created one here to make sure that our contact information, all of the hours, everything else are accurate, because that's what's going to directly show on like your Google Maps. So if somebody does a search and they try to click on your company name, that pulls up quicker, especially on mobile. I absolutely recommend you definitely want to come into here. You want to claim your business because you do have to claim it. And the process is a step-by-step guide. Once you go into Google My Business the first time, it will actually walk you through it. There's also the ability with Google My Business, if you're a practitioner, such as ourselves, you could actually create a Google My Business page for each of your different agents or employers or accountants that kind of focus. It will highlight them in a certain area of focus. So it's a way to really step up your awareness or your footprint online. So,
and if I can add something on this, and this goes back specifically to your question, Mariette. What happens is when you have a business out there and the information is out there, you've got your address listed on your website, you know, Google indexes all this stuff. So Google does have an idea that you have a business at this location, but going in and doing what Matt's showing us here and going into the Google My Business app is a way of claiming ownership of the business that Google has determined you own, right? So it's out there for you to claim. You just have to go claim it by doing what Matt is showing us here, by going in here and saying, this business at this address is mine, and now I'm going to fill in all this information and tell you and confirm that it's the correct address. Because I had, for example, people out there who had posted my address with the wrong zip code. And not long ago, I got something from Google asking me to confirm the change in my zip code. Somebody had actually gone as far as to say, oh, you have the wrong zip code listed on your website. And I said, nope, it's the correct zip code. So it's things like that that Matt's saying, that not only do you want to do this for SEO, it's important because others may be putting the wrong information with good intentions, albeit, you know, but the wrong information about your business and where you're located and all that kind of stuff. So actually, even if you don't want to do SEO, if you don't think you have time for all this, you still should go in and claim your business and make sure that you own your page for Google My Business for your business.
Got it. That makes
Absolutely.
perfect sense. Thank you.
Matthew, I tried to actually show up in that tic-tac-toe thing, and it's not showing up for me. But when I Googled how to find it, I guess you actually have to do google.com/business, and then you
keep that screen up. That's a good point, Tiffany. I want to point this out. Depending on the apps that you typically use, you may have to scroll down further, and Matt, keep going down, because there's going to be more apps and even more. So sometimes you have to click a little deeper into this navigation to find it if it's something you've not used.
And I thought I did that.
Sometimes you have to go, see where Matt is now, where it says even more? So sometimes you just have to dig deep. But the other way, of course, is to just Google it. And if you look at Matt's URL, the sure place to find it is business.google.com.
So maybe it's different in Canada. It doesn't actually show up. And when I do it from search from the G Suite Marketplace, it doesn't show up.
That's weird. It should.
So.
But remember, it's called My Business.
Mm-hmm. Pardon me?
I'd be happy to look at it with you. We
No
can look
problem.
at it for sure. I never saw it in the marketplace, but I never looked for it that way. So,
no problem. I found it the other way.
We add a link into the episode to make sure people can get to it. But I'm glad you're bringing that up. I forgot that if you don't access certain apps, they don't show up here. So it's a good point.
Yeah, the order in which things show up here depends on your actual, use of these things.
So the one last thing I wanted to point out in regards to the Google My Business is we were talking about the address. Google and search bots are not smart enough to realize that the way you put your address, so the way I have mine here, 4744 Telephone Road, Suite 3-114, that's all in one line. So it matches the same thing everywhere on the internet, because if I broke that up and I changed it a bit, if I didn't have the suite on there, it may think it's two different businesses. So that's part of the reason of having all that information exactly the same is important. And by putting it into Google, it makes it kind of more legit. So the kind of the next part, once we've done that part of it, we've done the basics of trying to at least get Google to know more about you. Now I want to dive a little bit more into like the on-page information and the off-page SEO kind of concepts.
Matt, before you go too far away from Google My Business, Cindy's got a question. How can I get a link that I can send to a client asking them to give me a rating? Or even for that matter, to ask you a question. That would be a really useful thing to show people.
There's a couple ways to do that. I will actually include a link to, we created a review request sheet that people can use. You could basically download it, you put in your own company name, and it will automatically populate something that you can send out to people, and it'll help bring them over to your site. But for reviews, what you have to do is you need to, actually, Adam, are you familiar with where on here you can actually do a direct send off of it?
I usually just I use Chrome, so I ask them what browser they're using, and then I just send them a link from a Chrome, and I just hit Google, a new Google box and hit Infinity Accounting, and then I copy and paste that search queue link.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it carries over.
Yeah, if you do a search of your own business on Google, you should find like what Matt has on the right hand of his screen where it says Parkway Business Solutions.
That whole link on the top of the browser, I just send them that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it goes to it.
So we found that the ability for people to leave reviews can be very, very confusing, whether it's across Facebook, Foursquare, Google, Yelp. So what we did is we created this like PDF that makes it to where it literally shows up your company name in the like fake screen, and they can click on the image, and it then would take them to a place to be able to leave the review. I will, like I said, we'll actually provide that into the notes of this episode, so people are welcome to use it. It just made it a lot easier for making those requests was the whole goal, because it's really complicated to find out. Sorry, I can't give a better answer. Any other questions on this part of it? Okay, so the next part I wanted to show, and it still has to do with, if we go back to the idea of the different parts of what happens in a search. Everything we talked about now has been more about the local search, but I wanted to pull up also, let's do a different search like QuickBooks Online Bank Feed Rules. So that's going to be more of a global search, and how do we get whatever your information is to try to pull up as close to the top as possible. And that's where most people consider like the true search engine optimization. This is an article that QuickBooks, the bank rules is kind of a hot topic of mine, something I really enjoy diving into quite a bit. So we created these different articles, and it was actually quite some time ago. So it took a bit of time for it to bubble up to the top for optimization. But you can see that this is something that was on the very first page within the top 5 or so items. So I wanted to share on the back end what it looks like that we did to try to optimize this post to help it come up organically as well. Seth has talked about Yoast SEO. I'm a huge, huge proponent of Yoast SEO. I am a firm believer, get the pro version. There's better tools in it. It has helped dramatically for us to be able to increase our listings everywhere. When it comes to page SEO, it starts as simple as like the title of your article, so the URL. You'll notice that the QuickBooks Online Bank Feed Rules is actually part of the title of the page and the title of the article itself. So that's really important because you're going to keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. Additionally, as you go through your description, which you'll be able to put into place because of Yoast SEO, that same thing, QuickBooks Online Bank Feed Rules, exactly the same. It's not bank feeds rule or anything else. The one letter makes a difference. It's been repeated again. These are, everything we're talking about here is what's known as on-page SEO, okay? Where that comes into play in the meta description, That is important because that is what shows up in the description down here. Okay, so you can fill in what you want Google to show, and if you put in your keyword, everything else, it will control it. If it doesn't have your keyword in there, they will pull information from your site, whatever they want. There's no guarantee it will show exactly the way you want it to. So you'll see, again, everything we posted into that area is now showing up, okay? One other important thing when it comes to blog articles, everything else, are your pictures. Every time you load a picture, there are a couple tips and tricks that I think are really important to know. Save, before you load anything to your website, change the name of the picture and actually save it. So every image on this blog article is QuickBooks Online Bank Feed Rules something. That is really important because you keep feeding again that keyword over and over and over again. When it gets pulled up, then that will be in the URL of it also. So again, it's creating more and more of it. It will also give you the ability to title the picture. QuickBooks Online Bank Feed Rules. I'm sure you're catching the point here. You can put a caption if you want it underneath the image. It's not necessary, but it's extremely important to do what they call the alt text. The alt text is what web browsers use and accessibility services utilize. So if the image doesn't pull up or somebody can't visually see it, they will utilize this information to know what it is you're trying to display. So every image, you have to put some form of an alt text into it. You want it to have your keyword again. The description below it is best possible. It should really be as organic as possible. Again, QuickBooks Online Bank Feed Rules, but try to put it into more of a sentence that's using it and it sounds natural. Very, very important. Again, save it before you upload it. Very important. Any questions on the photo side of it? Okay. As you go through, if you've optimized your images, you're going to go through, and now you need to make sure that your first paragraph of text also has your keywords as well. Again, the QuickBooks Online, you'll see it. Actually, we'll go back to the article. So the very first area needs to have that information in the very first paragraph. If you can, actually a great example of how it can be different, you would think like this is very, very close. Two totally different keywords or long tail keywords as we talked about. You need it to match specifically because you're making these bots understand that that's what the page is about. As you go down, you're going to, Yoast SEO does a great job now of helping you to increase the readability of your post also. If you have a longer post, you need to make sure that it's broken up into bullet points if you can. You don't want to have just tons of paragraph. It should be broken up into smaller paragraphs. And you want to end up repeating, I think the average is have your keyword about 3 to 5 times within, I want to say it was 300 words if I remember correctly. So it's got to have a good ratio of how many times it's repeated.
Matt, I think Yoast will score you based on, you want it to appear at least 1% of the time in terms, so if you take the keyword phrase divided by the total number of words in the post, it's got to be at least 1%. And not too much more than that, because if you do too much, then Google sees that as what you were using the term before. It's not actually a good term. If Google considers you to be doing what's called keyword stuffing,
yes,
then they will actually, it will work against you. So in other words, you can't be gratuitous about it. It has to be natural, like Matt said. It has to flow. You can't just throw keywords onto a page and think that's going to, be a better way to do it. That will actually hurt you. So it has to be natural. It has to be free flowing. It has to be a good sentence structure, but the keywords need to be there about 1% of the time. It used to be 5%. They actually lowered it.
Yeah, that's very, very good point. I mean, back in the day, it used to be really, really easy to rank high for whatever keywords you wanted because you would just go and on a white page, you'd put white text and you'd stuff those words at the bottom and nobody would ever see it. But Google continues to change their algorithms and the way they rank businesses to make it better for everybody. They're
Right.
looking for that organic feel, whoever's going to provide the best content, the newest and freshest content as well.
And Matt, you and I had a discussion about this recently, which I think is worth noting here. If instead of getting all hung up in Google's algorithms, because everybody goes up and up and says, oh, they changed it again. But there's a really simple solution to all of this. Just be authentic, be real, write real content, write good content, and do it in the proper structure. And you'll never have to worry about their algorithms ever. In other words, don't try and game the system. Just be real, write good content and put it out there with good structure, and you'll be fine.
We created a blog post probably about a year and a half ago about QuickBooks Online bundles. And we spent a whole bunch of time trying to optimize and do all these different things, and it flopped. It didn't do anything whatsoever. It just sat there. For some reason, I didn't change anything with it. Within the last 2 months, it has blown up in popularity, and it has become one of my most popular articles without changing anything. And I share that because all of everything that Google does, it's out of our control. So like Seth said, if you create good quality content, they're going to reward that. They have what they call white hat SEO and black hat SEO. Black hat SEO is if you basically try to game the system, if you try to buy links, you try to buy any of that type of stuff, yes, it will give you a quick boost, but if it's ever seen, you get penalized by Google, and that throws you all the way to the bottom. SEO takes time. It can be frustrating. It's that good old saying of my marketing is working, or 50% of my marketing is working. I just don't know which 50%. So you have to kind of stick it out for the long run. And it actually is a great segue into the next area we'll go into in a moment, which is being able to track this stuff. And you want to start doing that early. I'm going to share a couple tools in a moment that will show you how to do that, because it helps keep you motivated to kind of push forward with the stuff.
And real quick, just in case anybody's wondering, while you're looking at Matt's backend, he's using WordPress, but he's also using something called Cornerstone. And I just want to bring this up because I recently had this discussion with somebody where it was somebody who knew enough to be dangerous, but really ultimately had no idea what they were doing. And the person was concerned because I was helping them with their website and said, oh, you're using this Cornerstone thing, and Yoast doesn't work with Cornerstone. They had gotten on the phone with somebody from GoDaddy who gave them really bad information because the guy from GoDaddy was trying to sell them on GoDaddy's website builder and all this other nonsense. Notice what's on Matt's screen right now where it's checked off and it says, this article is Cornerstone content. That is part of the Yoast SEO plugin where not only does Yoast work well with Cornerstone, it gives you the specific option to let it know that you're using Cornerstone so that it will work well with Cornerstone. It's one of those pet peeves of mine where people don't do the research and they pick up little bits and pieces of information from different places and they don't do their own research and they have no idea what they're talking about, and then they go out there as if they know what they're talking about. A pet peeve of mine. But anyway, so Matt's using WordPress and he's using Cornerstone, which is what enables him to lay out his pages pretty much exactly the way he wants them to be laid out. So Cornerstone is a powerful tool that he's using, just in case you're wondering, how is Matt doing all this, sort of on the background, on the sidelines of what we're talking about here.
And to add a little extra context to Cornerstone, what it means is when I check that box, I'm telling it that this is content I feel that is fundamentally important in the center of what my whole website is about. Because we can write blog articles on any kind of a topic, it can be very confusing for the bots to realize, okay, well, is this a website about accounting? Is it a website about shoes or so forth? So if you have a tendency to kind of do a wide range of topics, you'll want to pick specific items and put it as Cornerstone content so it knows that that's what your true focus is on it. Seth, as you were talking about earlier, so the analysis stuff that's here, these are all the different areas of what generate a good SEO score by Yoast standards. So you'll notice we talked about SEO title. We talked about the focus keyword. What I didn't talk about is the title itself. If you go too long, it will actually run over and you will miss some of it when it comes up on a search. Same thing is with the meta descriptions. This also, because of Yoast, what it does, gives you the ability, you can really tag into your Facebook and your Twitter. So if somebody was to go and they liked this article and they share it to Facebook, I'm actually creating the card that will automatically show up in social media the way I want it to show up. So I can add the image that I want, same idea where you optimize it. I put the title. These can be different from Facebook, Twitter, or the website, and they should all have your keywords in it again. Be sure to keep that in mind, okay? The one area that we've talked about actually over the last couple episodes has to do with backlinking or cross-linking. Right, Seth, is what you call the cross-linking?
Cross-linking is within your own site from one place to another, which is, it lets Google know that you're an authority on a topic because it shows Google that you have lots of content in different places on the same subject matter.
So this specific article has 3 parts. I started off with one really super long one, and then I ended up breaking it up into 3 parts. So it's a great example of doing something with cross-linking because I can go from article to article to article. You can also backlink to different items, such as here we were going to LedgerSync, or here we have a download people can use for universal bank rules for QuickBooks Online. All of those items, the more value you bring to an article like this, if you've got those cross links to relevant content, kind of like we were talking about doing the intro to QuickBooks Online, that helps strengthen the actual content you put on your own website. So on-page SEO is all of this stuff. It's thinking about the images that are on the page, the language that's used, the links going to different articles, everything else. Every single part of that all plays into it. The key to doing it well is just finding some good tools and realizing it just takes a little bit of time to learn it. You know, worst case, you can always update it. Does anybody have any questions at this moment in regards to kind of some of the website details?
Check the live Facebook feed too, and just to see. I haven't been good about looking there this morning. Nope, no questions on the live Facebook feed. So let's
Perfect.
keep moving forward.
So now that you've done all of these things, you want to be able to track and figure out, is it working for you, right? You want to see if you're getting traction, if people are coming to the site or not. There's a couple different sites that I will use. There's quite a few different tools that can be used, a lot of free ones that you can start off to check out your specific site and how it's doing. First, one of the most important things that I would really recommend, as soon as you can, if you haven't already, set up Google Analytics. It's free and it is super, super important. Mm-hmm. It will take you probably 3 months anyways to get any kind of information that's worth anything off of it. So set it up in the background and then just, you can forget about it. Analytics has gotten so much better over the last 9 months that it now provides you tons of information that previously I was struggling to try to figure it out. Now it just automatically gives it to you. We could dive into a whole series on just Google Analytics, but we'll give you a link of how to get to it, and please feel free to reach out if you've got some questions on it. I'm happy to help. Now that once you've done that, you need to start off by going to, I say, to GT Metrics. I like to use GT Metrics to check my page speed. It's going to help you see from both the mobile perspective and the web perspective what is slowing down your site or not, because you need to control the number of requests, the size of the page, and the actual load time. You hear from everybody now about how important mobile is, and it is, because I think it was like 75% or 70% of searches are now being mobile based or close to that. So if your phone takes forever to load a page, I'm sure we've all done it where we're waiting, we just click and we go away. We don't wait for it. So if you don't check this right off the bat, you may end up finding out that your images aren't optimized and it's slowing things down and you're having a really heavy page size. To be fully transparent, this is probably the best score I've ever had, and I'm super, super lucky it pulled up this way, because normally we still have challenges and issues and such. It will go through, even if nothing else, if you go through something like this, it's going to show you the different categories that they're scoring off of. And it will give you a little bit of information as to what you can or can't do with this, okay? It's a great way to learn. The way I learned a lot of these little tips and tricks is going in, clicking on what's this mean? And you can dive in if it's of interest to you a little bit deeper to get some more information. But I strongly recommend going to GT Metrics, pulling up your website, completely free, and you'll probably start doing this once a month or so. Another tool that I really enjoy is Nibbler. Nibbler it's an overall scorecard for your website. So again, free tool, you can run your site, and we'll put a link to it in the chat here at the end. It will do a full overview of 5 pages that it just does by itself. It picks whichever ones, and it gives you kind of the scoring through it all. It'll give you top priorities of what needs to be fixed. And again, this is a great opportunity to really learn firsthand what's working well, what's not, and you can start to just pick a certain area and start tackling it. Social media, my weakest. It's an area that we really have to do more with Parkway and kind of build it up. And once we do more, we could get that score up even higher. It's going to tell you about your internal links. Again, this is just from today. So apparently we have 24 links that don't have any text describing it. I talked about before of doing cross links and trying to make sure that you do set them up appropriately. It's a great example of I could do a backlink from one page of mine to another, but if I don't put a little description as to what it is, the Google bots may not know exactly what it's for. And this will show you like the recommendations of what should be changed, which ones are bad and why. So it makes it so much easier to try to really fix your page. You guys have heard me talking about, your images all the time on here. It is one of the biggest things that slows down a website is the ability to compress your images. One of the tools I always use, and I forgot to pull it up, is for my pictures, it's Online Image Resizer. You can pull up any image, pulls up right away. You can resize it. So it's great to have this big, huge, 1200 by 500 image at the top of your page. But let's say you need to then use that as like a card lowered where you're linking to it. You need to resize that image back down to the correct size, maybe 300 by 300. So you shrink the size of it as well. This helps do it very easily. You can also compress it at the same time, 100% free. And this is resizeimage.net. I use it all the time. Back here, it's going to then go through, talk about the amount of content, tells you average words, so forth. It's going to go through all the different areas we were talking about. So your headings on your pages, what are the keywords? This is a keyword cloud, I guess is what they would call it. So it's trying to pull up the most relevant things from the site from its search. It's going to go through your URL format as well. Seth, I think you were talking about the last time that you want to try to get the information down as close to your root word or your root domain as possible. People always question if a site's URL is important for keywords or not. For example, bookkeeping or bookkeeper. We have another website we used, venturabookkeeper.com, because it took 2 keywords, stuck it together, so people are searching in the area to try to make it pull up quicker.
Yeah, I mean, if you think you're going to rank for the word bookkeeper, you're kidding yourself, right? But Ventura Bookkeeper, in other words, ranking for the phrase that includes the context of the location where you are and the fact that you have a bookkeeping service there, that you have a shot at. So that's important to note. You're not going to rank for the word bookkeeper. There's too much out there with just that word. You've got to be more specific than that.
Exactly. And you're right. I mean, that site doesn't get any traction, doesn't get anything out of it, basically.
It's too broad also. Like, right now, if you did something like Ventura e-commerce bookkeeper because you wanted to attract e-commerce clients, guarantee you that would get some results, because you probably don't have a lot of people doing that. And if you happen to have somebody who's in Ventura who is an e-commerce business and is looking for bookkeepers, and the point is, then people say, oh, isn't that too specific? No. That's the whole point. That goes into a bigger conversation we've been having for a couple of years now about going into a specific niche. And this is part of why, because, and this is, I keep saying it, I'm going to keep saying it. If you try and market to everyone, you may as well market to no one. Right?
Yes. The one last tool I really want to pull up, which kind of talks to these things as well, and it's one I keep talking about on here also, is Ahrefs. It's
And by the way, it's worth noting that Ahrefs is actually an HTML code that they named their site after, which refers to where something is linked to. The HTML code for when you want to create a link to a place on your website is an Ahrefs, you know, and then you put in the URL. So I thought it was interesting to note for people where that name came from.
You're right, absolutely. And I still don't know how to say it the right way, though. So if anybody ever figures that out, please let me know.
It's Ahrefs. I mean, that's because that's the HTML code.
Okay.
It's a tag. It's an HTML tag.
So what this site does, we talk about links, backlinks, your keywords, all these different things that are all those buzzwords, hot words when it comes to search engine optimization. This is something that you can go in, you can do searches. I didn't do anything to set this up. It just has the ability to pull data for you. This is a paid service. You can actually do a trial account and you can do little polls here and there. I use just the very basic free version and it does a great job for me. But the information that this is going to pull is it's telling me about my ranking. It's going to show me how many referring domains I have over a given period of time. So you can see it's been growing consistently over time, slowly and steadily. Also referring pages that it's still going up a little bit there. And you can dive in deeper for organic search being how many keywords do you have that it's pulling off of the site. So at this moment we had 744 keywords that this is saying is generating 140 visits per month. So this can continue to grow more and more and more, of course, but then you can actually dive in a lot deeper and get better details. Like, so with your backlinks, I can see who's linking back to me. I can see their domain ranking as well. And that has to do with, if you have people that link to you that have really, really bad domain ranking, they can drag your site down too. Mm-hmm. They're trying to steal your link juice and bring themselves up, and it hurts you at the same time. So it gives you a listing of all the different items that are linking back to you. You'll notice, so Meetup is a great example. Great domain ranking. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of those things are all going to have really high domain ranking, which is why you want to you want to have that stuff linking to your website, okay? It also tells you any lost ones.
So when you get those emails, by the way, from people saying, hey, we would love to trade links, ignore them, delete them, run away. Because it's exactly what Matt's talking about, where you have people who are trying to increase their rankings at the expense of yours.
Yeah, it is. They call that black hat SEO, where, again, if you're paying for that stuff, it usually causes you problems. Mm-hmm. What we've done over a really, really long period of time is there's a great app out there called Process Street that I love. They were one of the best versions of a backlink. They had an article that they wrote about the differences between QuickBooks Online and Xero. And it happened to be, FreshBooks. So I replied onto it and I provided my own feedback onto it and actually showed them an example of something we used Process Street for that was on topic. And they linked back to our site, gave us credit to it. Their domain authority was great. They have thousands of people that go to their website and their blog all the time. So it helped generate a lot more traffic for us because it was organic, like quality content provided. That helps a lot. The lost or broken backlinks are important because sometimes maybe you changed something on your website and the URL changed, or maybe they did. Sometimes you need to help remind people if your URL changed of a page, hey, it moved to here. Do you mind changing that on your site to link back to the new updated place so you don't lose those connections? They'll appreciate it because they don't have a bad link, and you'll appreciate it because you now have that connection back. So that's a good reason to be looking at that information. Referring domains, very, very important. It's going to show you, again, from domain ranking, which ones. This is an area that if anybody knows how to get rid of some of those domains trying to steal your link juice, I would love to learn from you as well because it happens all the time. But you can see through here a listing of all the different domains that are connecting to my site. Some of them I know, some of them I don't, as well as their authority ranking, how popular they are, so forth. Organic keywords. In here, it's going to show you a list of all the keywords that are pulling up. If you had a paid subscription, you could get a lot more detail off of this. But it will show you the volumes. It will show you your position on them as well, and whether it went up or down for a given period of time. You can also do all of this searching and all this information on competitor sites also. So if I wanted, I could actually pull up Nerd Enterprises and pull that. If I wanted to stalk his page and see what he's working on to try to figure out, oh, okay, that blog article worked really well for Seth. I should do the same thing. Or that video is great. You can actually pull those same kind of details to figure out how to increase your visibility, basically. You don't like that, Tiffany?
I don't like that. I thought that's, I mean, I guess it's great, but it's a little rude.
Yeah.
It's life, though, and what you're doing is you're really learning from others' examples, right? You're not stealing from anyone, you know, and we have to all go into this understanding that this kind of information is going to be available to be used however people want to use it, right? I used to take high-ranking accounting websites and stick it into the Google Keywords tool to see what words they were ranking for, because that would give me a sense of what subjects I wanted to write content about, because I wanted to be able to rank for those same keywords. And the way to do that is to write content around those keywords. So I used to do a lot of that to increase my own page rankings. It's just, you know, it's almost like there's a few thoughts I have on this. One is imitation is the best form of flattery, right? But also I'm learning from others who've done it well. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And it's really about how you look at it. I realize on the surface it can look like it's almost like a shady thing, like you're stealing from somebody else's good work, but you're not. You're learning from them. And it's not, because it's not taking anything away from them. I'm just, you know, learning from what they did well.
Plus, you still have to create the content.
Mm-hmm.
So all this does for me is say, hey, okay, Seth has got 4,000 backlinks. I mean,
but I'm down 542, which I'm really mad about. I want to find out who those people are that unlinked me. See, that's what I focus on. I'm like, damn it, who are those people?
So, I mean, with organic keywords, yes, I can see kind of the stuff that's working well, but then I have to create content that's going to be received just as well from other people. Because just knowing the keyword, if I put junk up, nobody's going to link back to it. Nobody's going to pay attention to it. So you still have all the hard work still has to be done from that point. I know we're getting close to the amount of time here, and this is a very, very important tool. What I would say, though, is if you're just getting started, don't go spend a whole bunch of money on these different subscriptions. I would actually recommend pay attention to AppSumo. They have different up-and-coming SEO tools or this or that on there all the time that you can get a lifetime subscription for $39. And when you're just getting started, it's okay to waste $40 to learn from a tool like that instead of spending $80 a month if you don't understand what it's telling you. Find one, listen to in this channel, I'll be sure to call out ones I think that are good in the near future here so people can try to grab it if they're interested. But that's what I've done. I will usually grab a tool from AppSumo. I'm going to pull up their site real quickly so people can see what I'm talking about. And it will allow me to test out a tool. If it's great, then you keep it. If you don't like it, you have up to 60 days to just click a button and get your money back. Just that simple. It's easy. It's a lot easier to go through something like this, get one of those tools for $50 and you can play with it. If you use it 3 or 4 times and you get some great value to help build up a post, you're good to go. I strongly, strongly recommend that. Does anybody have any tools that they would like to recommend that they feel have helped them track their SEO capabilities?
I mean, if I was going to throw something out there, I would say echo something you said, Matthew, which is I would say the first place to start before you even get into any apps is doing what you suggested earlier and making sure your Google Analytics account is set up with your website linked in there. And if you're using WordPress, there's also a cool widget you can stick in there that will give you high-level analytics coming directly from Google Analytics. I think that's the most important thing, because then you can start getting a sense of, like I love going through this where Matthew's showing on a screen right now, and I love looking at, actually I go for the acquisition is great because it shows you where you got your visitors from, but I love to look at behavior. Go down to behavior there for a second.
Oh, yeah.
And then under here, I want to go to overview. This will show you what pages on your site people are spending time on, which lets you know what kind of stuff is working well. And for that matter, what's not. And you can click through one of these to get details on that particular page. And you can start to get information such as, now we're looking at information just on this particular URL, his /estimates.html. Notice average time on this is like is that 5 minutes or 5 seconds? That's 5 minutes. So that means people are spending time on this page, which is good. You want that average time up. Google looks at every little detail of people's behavior on your site. So if somebody comes onto your pages, but they're out in 3 seconds, that actually tells Google that people are not finding what they're looking for on your site, and that's going to work against you. But when somebody spends 5 minutes on their page, that tells Google that people are finding what they were looking for, and they're sticking around for it. One of the things I learned, I was very upset because I had a very high bounce rate, right? Meaning that something like 75% of the people who came to my site were on one page and then left. And at first I thought it was a bad sign until I started looking at the behavior, and what I learned from analyzing the stats was that people were coming through social media to absorb a specific blog post. And they might have been on that blog post for 5 or 10 minutes, and then they bounced because that was all they found what they were looking for, stayed, and that was that. And Google understands all this. So it's really important for you. I would say this would be the place to start, even though it's a lot. It will also give you a sense before you start diving into any tools about where you need to work, right?
Yeah, Seth, I'm about halfway through creating a little downloadable guide to show people how to set up the basics of their Google Analytics. Nothing super crazy where it's like, I mean, you can get in depth and create goals and all these crazy things that I don't want to lead you astray. But as soon as we've got that, I've got it finished, I'll share it into the group, and it will help you just kind of go through and make sure you've got the basics of it set up. It's not that tough to do. The hardest thing you have to do is take a special code and just put it into the header of your website. And once you've done that, it makes the relationship between the two, and it starts tracking this stuff.
Okay, and before people bounce from this very webinar, a lot of people are commenting here and on the live Facebook feed that they want an SEO part 2. Here's what I want to do. Matt and I actually talked about this ahead of time. We met earlier this week, if you saw on social media, at Brent's Deli in Westlake Village, and we kind of talked about what we wanted to do here. And because we know there's so much to cover, and there's no way we could do it any justice inside of a single hour, what we want to do is actually create something like a course or workshop and invite you all to sign up and come in and participate. We haven't quite figured out the exact form of it yet. It'll probably be like a series of weekly webinars that we'll do, and yes, we're going to charge for it. I think it's fair to say it's extremely valuable, and we haven't decided exactly what we're going to charge, but if you're interested in that, just let us know, and we'll make sure we keep you kind of on the list to be kept informed, because Matt and I are going to meet again, and we're going to actually hash out exactly what a course on this subject matter will look like, and we'll decide what we're going to charge for it, and then of course we'll set up the sign-up links and all that good stuff. So just email Matthew at mfulton@parkwaymail.com, or email me, Seth at nerdenterprises.com, or copy us both and let us know, hey, I'm interested in your search engine optimization tips and tricks workshop, and we'll put that together very soon and have it available for you so that we can really dive deep into each of these things. I can see a 6-week workshop taking place where each week we would deep dive into one of these areas that Matt talked about today. And we can go a lot further beyond. We can even devote one whole week probably to just how to use Yoast and work with people. And we'll tell you ahead of time, come prepared with a blog post you've written, and we'll work with each of you and help you optimize that blog post using Yoast SEO. If you don't have it installed on your own site, I can drop it into a web page, a page in my own, not that I would publish it, but just to walk through that optimization process with you to show you how I would do it if I were writing that blog post. And then you'll have that to take away, and of course, build it into your own website. So there's a lot we can do for you. We want to do it justice, and I think that's the best way to do it, is an SEO masterclass with Matthew and myself. So again, email me, Seth at nerdenterprises.com if you're interested, or mfulton@parkwaymail.com, or better still, just copy us both and let us know, hey, I'm interested in the SEO masterclass.
Seth, real quickly before we go, I just wanted to take a quick moment to say thank you. I've been watching a lot of the people that are on this podcast for quite a few years from behind the scenes, whether it's live or afterwards. And I just want to share how special this moment is to me to be able to actually be on the podcast, this webinar, sharing information with the people I've always thought were thought leaders. So thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. This was amazing information, as has been mentioned in the chat here. And, you know, it was real simple in the end. All you did was reach out to me and say, hey, I'm going to be flying out to New York by way of Burbank Airport. Can we get together for dinner? We got together for dinner. I had a pleasure sitting down and talking with you. You almost missed your plane because we got so into the conversation. And that's that. You know, it's the same way I met Mariette. You know, Mariette came out of nowhere one day and started reaching out and commenting and posting, and, you know, and all of a sudden I'm like, who's this Mariette person? But next thing I know, I meet with her at QuickBooks Connect. She screams my name out and scared the crap out of me as I was walking over to the Fairmont, and I just ran over and gave her a big old hug. And, you know, this is how we do it. I think a lot of people out there are probably lurking on the sidelines and wondering, how do I get into the cool kids club? And first of all, I'm not that cool. I'm a nerd. But, you know, all you really have to do is reach out and say hello, extend your hand, shake it, and then we'll get to know who you are, and then you'll get to, you know, you'll get to do whatever you want to do, whether that's sitting here with us or just learning from us or maybe teaching us, as Matthew has now done. So it's a pleasure to have you, Matthew, and I'm excited about what the future is going to hold for all of us, especially the things that you and I are going to be able to do together. I see very big things. I
think there should be a great nerd off pretty soon, my friend.
Well, somebody referred to, I think it was Linda, who said something about a geek and a nerd joining forces, and so no, this is going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to be able to create some great content together, especially around this stuff, and I'm sure other things as well. So looking forward to that. So it looks like another meeting at Brent's Deli, Matt.
I'm for it. Sounds good.
We got to sketch out the 6-week masterclass, and
anybody in the Ventura County or close by or wants to join?
Yeah, come on down.
So
it'll be fun. We had a nice big table in the corner at the deli that I happen to know about that table. So I walked in there, got there a little early, and immediately said, can we have that table? We need some space, because we all had our little laptops and tablets and things. It was a little geek out session. It was fun.
Thank you so much, guys. Again, please feel free anytime. If there's any questions on this stuff, reach out. Any way I can be of assistance, I'm happy to do it. I'm a firm believer that the more we work together, we all succeed. So I wish you guys a very successful week.
Don't forget Gina's Hangout later today, 2 o'clock, if you want to get in early on the conversation to decide what you're going to talk about, starting at 2:30 live. SBAA, Small Business Accounting Advisors, on Facebook. Search it out, join it, and you'll get the information for how to join. Gina, what's going on today?
Nothing special. We'll find out when the Hangout happens.
It sounds like what you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get. Started by Sandy Kritzer.
That's right.
His daughter?
It was You Get What You Get. That was her.
You get what you get. You get what you get cafe.
That's right. That's right. Imagine you go in, you don't order. They just serve you what they think you need.
That's right.
That would be an interesting concept for a cafe, actually. You look like you need a salad. I'm terrible. All right. Anyway, so we'll see you there later this afternoon in Gina's Hangout, and I'll see the rest of you all around the web every time, all day long, 24/7.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
GeekCon. That's funny.